Hello everyone, I have been having a bit of a nightmare here in Nether. I have been hard at work, clearing out a whole bunch of netherrack, and in the process, I managed to accidentally break one of my netherite picks. So I had to make a new one. But about netherite. And I just realized as I'm struggling away here, I've forgotten to take arrows. I've just realized my clay is getting stolen. And not just one bit of clay. A lot of clay. Why? I've spent so many hours in here, in the Nether, clearly giving the Enderman a whole bunch of time to to come destroy my work. But it's crazy that even though we have, there they are. Here's the clay. Even though we have all of this flammable surface that I have to fight gas over, I also have to fight for my clay. We're missing two pieces at least. Oh, here's one. Oh, is that a missing piece? But worry not, guys. Because of you lovely people, we are not working in another today. Because I have given you guys the choice of what we're gonna do today. I put up a poll on my community page, and somehow the Nether was the least popular. I wonder why. So we're not doing that, but instead you guys wanted for us to work on this Riverside and to do some cliffs here. So a little bit of context is I did these cliffs, I want to say ages ago, maybe like September, October time, I don't even know, on a stream as this little test. They were never meant to be permanent if I didn't like them, and I have given them many, many, many months here to sit and see whether I like them or not. And the answer is no. I don't. I was trying to do something very fun here. I was thinking about the lore of the world. Well, we're going to do a lot of that today, actually. But I was thinking, in a real life village, town, city, whatever you want to call it, at least pre-modern days of transportation, the materials you would build with would primarily be dictated by your landscape. And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking when I built the castle walls, so I was trying to retroactively think about where my wonderful, lovely villagers would be able to receive these sort of materials to build the castle wall. Because in this instance, even though we have mushroom blocks, jungle, birch, and bone blocks in here, this is meant to be more of a representation of something that looks more like sandstone, perhaps, or a different light colored stone. I would give you stone names, but I don't know stones. Limestone one, maybe, I don't know. Chalk? No, chalk would be a bit too brittle for castle walls either way. It's meant to be some sort of light colored stone. And so I thought that it would be quite fitting if we were to, adapt the landscape to show that. Maybe a portion of the landscape here is made from that same material that they then dug out and used for the castle. This sandstony cliff was my first attempt. And I like where my head is at with that. I do like it. But but I think we actually went a little bit too light in color here. I want to redo this. First, I'm not happy with the shape of it. It's a little bit too flat. It's a little bit too boring. But I also think we need to aim for the sandstone or the birch to be the lightest color in this, I think. Because when you actually look at that gradient, I want you to think that the bone block is like the sun shining on it and is the highlight. It's not meant to be a different material, or at least it's not meant to, the whole material is not meant to be that light. And with the heavy use of bone blocks here, especially when they're under shadows from the moss, it actually looks like the bone block is part of the sort of material and part of the color rather than a highlight. I hope that makes sense. And so I've been doing some research lately online to see what kind of cliffs could I take inspiration from, because when I was building these originally, I was taking inspiration from the white cliffs of Dover, which is why I use so much light colored blocks. The problem with the white cliffs of Dover is that they're actually, at sea. And this is a river, and I want this to feel like a river. We have the sea in a lot of places, and I think I definitely want to revisit that white cliffs of Dover idea. Maybe in some future terrain, maybe if we ever do this village that has like a nice cliffside next to the sea. But for this situation, Okay, I do admit that looks kind of cool from this angle. If you're flying in, the little cliffs do look kind of cool. But the problem is they don't really read like cliffs to me. They don't. Even if they're super cool. I don't know if it's the shape, if it's the color, if it's everything combined. I just struggle to see them as cliffs. And I was hoping that if I let them sit there for a while, or maybe if I did the entire Riverside with that problem would be solved. I don't think it's gotten better. So, revealing my sins here of leaving it hollow because it was always meant to be temporary, maybe potentially. It's time for us to tear this down and start afresh with something a little bit nicer. And with that, we have stripped away all the work, well, most of the work we've done to these cliffs. Yeah, some cattle still floating. I couldn't reach those, and we have these rocks I built to go with the cliffs as well. I don't hate the rocks, although they are a bit sharp for my liking. But I'll leave them for now and remove them later if I need to. I thought something that would be fun to talk about before we get started on building the actual cliffs is a little bit of lore. You see, I have been really hard at work thinking of ways to celebrate the 100-year episode thing that's coming up very shortly. As you know, as I won't stop talking about it every single episode. And I was thinking it'd be really fun if we got to name things as sort of, because I think we're kind of overdue on naming things, and names I have came up with in the past, I have forgotten. So we've named a couple things recently. We've named these woods we built as the Dusk Woods, and we named the tavern that we built last episode as the Sun's Respite. So for this episode, what we're gonna name is, well, of course, the river. Now, you guys might think that naming a river, or well, specifically, this is going to be kinda 2 rivers. I think I'm gonna have them share the name. Maybe 3 if you can count this little tiny one. You might think that it's no big deal. It's inconsequential. It doesn't mean anything, but historically, a lot of places are named after the rivers. You know, or the rivers are named after places, one or the other. But usually, when you have civilizations on rivers, that tends to be a pretty big integral part of their life. Freshwater, as you might expect, is pretty important for human survival, as well as transportation that it allows, and food and stuff like that. So, for this video, here's for the big reveal of the name that I've decided for this river. Don't get your hopes up, because it's pretty boring. I'm going to call it Blumenthal. Blumenthal. And you might think, what on earth does that mean? And well, to that I tell you that here on Blumenthal Bridge, see, it's coming in handy already. I'm very bad with names. I wish I was cool with names. I wish, but I'm really bad with names. And so I have to stick to rules, I think. And I like to take names that either reference a specific theme or an object, or come from a specific language, or do both of those things. And that's exactly what Blumenthal does. It's incredibly simple. It's nothing very interesting. It comes from Latin, which, as we all know, is the number one language for coming up with vague fantasy-sounding names, especially set in the sort of older eras of civilization. So Flumen is, well, river, and Sol is a way to say sun. Solus is sun, so Sol is like an adjective, I guess. No, not an adjective. I don't know the word. Sol is what you can use for sun. It's where a lot of our current words for things relating to the sun come, like solar eclipse. Solar is a good example. Even the word flumen trickles down into the English language through the time. I think it can be related to the word flow. I'd have to double check it, but I'm pretty sure flumen has got something to do with flow, which, you know, for water flowing. And so if we were to think about the word Flumenthal and the river of Flumenthal, it's very simple. It's the Sun River. The Sun River. Did I say I was bad? Oh, I'm floating. Did I say I'm bad with names? And I just want to set an expectation right now that the upcoming names that I'm yet to come up with are probably going to be on the same level, but I was trying very hard to make sure I came up with something that sounds vaguely like a word instead of just calling something in English, like the Dusk Woods. I could have easily just called this Sun River, but I went through the effort of thinking of stuff in different languages, and I settled on Latin. Always like a bit of Latin, you know, can't really go wrong. So there we go. And I'm sure in a lot of Latin-based languages, Flumenthal is way more normal sounding than it is in English. I'm sure in German it probably is incredibly awkward and on the nose for my name, but either way, it sounds cool in English. Now, oh, like a silly goose that I am, I had found an inspirational picture, a reference picture, of what I wanted the cliffs to look like, but I didn't save it. I don't remember why I didn't save it. I must have thought I'd be able to find it again. I cannot find it again. So we're working off really vague memory of what I really liked, and it was this sort of more redder, brownier color palette that maybe we can transition into sandstone later. But even if we just settle around this sort of jungle mushroom kind of tier, I think I'll be happy with it. Now, for the shape, I'm thinking, first of all, I don't know what this is, but maybe I should probably get rid of this as well, because I never really liked this. This was just kind of a way of us to hide the ugly Minecraft terrain that was behind this. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this in just a second. It's always a weird feeling to tear down your own work, especially when it's been some time since you've built it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to rebuild something that you don't like. And a part of me does feel a little bit bittersweet because this has been here for like 30 episodes and you guys won't be able to see it in the world tour anymore. But that's okay. It's okay. The videos are still there, and well, I think I'd be happier if I get to show you guys something I'm truly proud of instead of something I just threw up because I don't know what else to do. And that's, I think, what really tends to happen with a lot of these builds that I start really disliking, is that I find that most of them are only there because of lack of ideas and lack of thought. So when the idea strikes, or at least a vague inspiration strikes, I think it's normally the right choice to. And I think that to me has become really the essence of upgrading this world. It's as long as the idea is cool behind it, I don't mind if the build doesn't quite strike true, even if its potential is slightly unfulfilled because of my own lack of skills or materials or time. As long as the idea is cool, it can stay. But if there was no thought and no idea behind it, then it can't stay. In this case, there was a very slight idea, but it was not cool. And it wasn't an idea that I'm emotionally attached to. So now we have a truly kind of blank slate to work with here. So let's think about how we're going to layer these colors, because these are really non-stony materials. I was searching for Minecraft clips trying to find the inspiration, and everything I found seemed to have been the sort of grey color base. I mean, there'd be a lot of stone, obviously cobblestone, half people diving into blackstone and mud, or even darker cliffs, or people would go the opposite route on the grayscale, and they would go for diorite or something like that. But surprisingly, finding cliffs that are made out of brown materials was very difficult. And aside from that one blue whale picture that I can no longer find, I'm gonna really struggle. So let's think about this. The look I want this to have. Okay, this is a bad example because we're using spruce here for a different purpose and you shouldn't do that. But anyways, I kind of want to make these cliffs look a little bit more dangerous. I'm sorry to say, they need to be a little bit, just a tiny bit more dangerous. Maybe if we mix in forest dirt with our spruce here. These are hanging over a little bit. And I was looking at real life inspiration and I noticed that a lot of these brown cliffs, they tend to have more of a layer effect. Like different layers of the earth sort of crumpled over together. And I kind of think it'd be cool if I can replicate that somehow. I don't know. I won't lie to you and say that that looks bad. I don't think that looks bad at all, but I don't think it looks very cliffy. You know what? It might actually be easier to start with the shape rather than the colors first. So I want to figure out where these hills are going to be at their steepest, how much they're gonna protrude and stuff like that. So looking at this from this angle, I think it's fairly fine to say that the highest point of the cliff probably has to be not more than maybe 2 or 3 blocks lower than this barn, I think. But it might be cool even if it was taller. Alternatively, we could go for a more sloped approach. So they're not cliffs in sense of a sheer drop, but they're still cliffs in sense of like no vegetation on them. It's so hard to explain, but I found a real life reference picture, and somehow I wasn't even aiming for this, but it's ended up being Scotland again. So that works out for me. If I tear this down just so we have some space, I really like how these cliffs look. So they actually kind of start off a little bit muddy looking here. I think that's where the water hits it, so I'm gonna try mangrove roots and maybe mix in some pale oak logs here as well. I'm just thinking of what sorts of fun blocks could we use here. And then these are actually a little bit more red in color, and I feel like for that reason the brown concrete powder might work. Rejoice all, rejoice, for I have learned a new term. New term. This is a really bad attempt at trying to make a sea stack. And if you don't know what a sea stack is, you're not alone. I don't know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, I just didn't know what it was called. It's these sort of like layered looking stacks of rock that make up a lot of cliffs and stuff like that around the sea. That's where the name sea comes from, and the stack is from the stacking. And that was a really bad explanation, so I suggest you look it up on the internet. But yeah, I realised that the cliffs I'm trying to make, although they're sea cliffs, I think are gonna work just fine. You know, I've decided to let go of a little bit of the realism here. Yes, it's a riverside cliff, and initially I was planning to make it look something more like what a river would have cut through a valley with sharp cliffs and stuff like that. But it just wasn't vibing with the vision, and you know what? We're really close to the sea as it is. In fact, I think we can call this a sea stack. I think we can call this a sea cliff. Sure, it's a river. Sure, this is a flume and sol river. And I was going to call these a flume and sol cliffs, and I still will, but they can be sea cliffs. So it turns out the ones I'm referencing are red sandstone sea stacks. I love the way they look. I don't love the way I've recreated them just yet. But I do think it's one of those things, once you can't see all the grass and dirt behind it, it's going to look a lot better. And you can see I tried to kind of replicate that stacking kind of vibe with it, with the use of different slabs and stuff. It's my very first time trying something like this, so I'm super curious how the rest of it's going to turn out. I think the only thing we can do at this point is trust the process and just keep building. Well, frankly, guys, I think it looks like a whole bunch of nothing at the moment. A whole bunch of nothing. It's so hard to tell whether we're getting somewhere or not, but I'm starting to identify some flaws in the fact that it doesn't quite look like a sea stack that I need it to look like. And I think the problem with that is I focus too much on the horizontal lines, but we also need some vertical lines because they quite often have these tiny little cracks running through them. Now, I tried to add some, but I think we need to figure out a way to actually do it properly and have a lot more of them, and only then do I think it's going to start really coming together. Hi, let's have a little chat. You see, I took a break. So I don't know how well this is going to flow in the video. I did edit everything, so I kind of know what I was doing before, but for me in real life, since the last clip, it's been about 2 weeks, I want to say. And I did do some work. Let me show you first before we chat. Here's how our sea stacks are looking so far. I don't have my feelings sorted out for this. I'm really split. Very much a work in progress. My thoughts so far are, well, I tried adding those vertical splits, and I think it just makes it look a little bit too noisy and too busy. And I also think that maybe using the stairs and the walls there for the horizontal kind of splits also makes it look that way. So I kind of, as I moved forward, I kind of swapped my approach. And you see, I've used a lot of podzol here for those horizontal lines, which I think looks a lot less busy but has a very similar effect. And I'm kind of leaning to this being my preferred way to do it. Now, the problem with that is there's very few blocks in the game I can do that with, and I can only really think of podzol as one that sort of keeps that line across. I can also kind of layer slabs if it's going up or down, but it's not quite the same effect. So I kind of try layering blocks and it sort of works. I don't know. I think the podsoul's cleaner, but that could be an option. Or maybe you guys like this kind of side of it. Let's take a look from this section. I think it's okay, but it does look super busy, and I don't know if it accomplishes what I needed to accomplish with those slabs and stairs and walls. So I'm generally thinking of like going through and just removing that and cleaning it up a bit, because I think this section kind of does work a lot better. But it's also not finished. I could go through and add things onto it, but none of it's finished. None of it's finished, but we're going to wrap up for today anyways, because I've been doing a lot of thinking. Oh, hey, there's some blocks here. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've taken a little break, and I realized it was the first time I've ever really taken a break, sort of for the sake of taking a break. I've definitely had episodes that were delayed because I've procrastinated. I've had episodes that have not come out on time because I was ill, and hiatuses from sicknesses or going away from home and not having access to my computer. I've had all of that, but I've never actually taken a break because I needed a break. So that's given me a lot of things to think about as I was going through, well, my little break. I noticed that I kept running into this feeling. I kept having this reoccurring constant thought, and I wonder how many people can relate to this, that I just didn't have enough time. Not enough time in the day to do everything I wanted to do, because I wanted to play Minecraft. I also needed to get all these other things done. I also needed to get time for my other hobbies and spending time with loved ones and doing gardening and painting and drawing and doing work stuff and doing studying stuff and doing hanging out with my pets and like all of these things. I just don't have enough time in the day. Actually, the thing that's sort of playing in my head right now is there's a song by Fall Out Boy that's called, I think, Save Rock and Roll or Saving Rock and Roll. And it starts off by saying, I need more dreams and less life. And it's genuinely what I've kind of been feeling a lot lately. It's like I am having to constantly prioritize things in my life, and that kind of reoccurring decision-making almost aspect of it is the thing that was getting me down the most. I really struggled with decision paralysis, and anytime I do have to make a decision, I often just don't want to, or I start wanting to do the thing altogether. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to pick and choose things here. And I kind of just don't. Which is really just sort of spiraled into a bigger and bigger issue lately. I had to do some introspection. I had to be like, well, I'm constantly having to think, do I want to do this? Or do I want to do that? Because I don't have enough time in the day. And at the same time as I was going through that, my aspirations, dreams and goals and everything have just been getting bigger and bigger, and I've started expecting more and more of myself, of my videos, of my work at work, at in my personal life, everything I do. I think as I've grown older, I think I've developed a little bit of I wouldn't say perfectionism, but I used to be very much I don't care as long as it gets kind of done and it's decent approach. And now I'm like wanting to do it better. I want to grow and learn and improve as a person, and surprised that takes way more time than just like doing something and then leaving it as it being sort of done. Who would have thought? I don't know how else to explain it. And I think I need to give myself some grace. So what I did, I ended up just deciding that's it. I am gonna cut down a couple of the big decision making things I have to do every day. I'm gonna just try to live comfortably for a couple of weeks and see how I feel at the end of it. It's like a little science experiment, you know? So I gave myself permission to rot, essentially. In every sense of the word, rotting in bed and brain rot and and just not embracing change as much and just let myself be like really comfortable in that state. So I didn't work on Minecraft and launch Minecraft for I want to say like nearly 2 weeks, which I know sounds like nothing to some people, but for a while now, this has been sort of my big dream and goal, that if I have the energy to launch it every day, just to chip away at things. I didn't edit. I tried to check YouTube analytics less. I have also let myself take it kind of easy at work and get back into some of the other games I played and just kind of tune things out and and get takeaways more often and cook less and take, just like neglect life for a little while because I felt like I genuinely needed that. And you know what? I've come out of at the end of it for about a week and a half or 2 weeks of doing this, and I've come out feeling the same way, that I don't have enough time. All of that permission to do nothing has led me to just feeling the same way that I am still going to bed too late and waking up really tired and oversleeping somehow and being late for everything. I'm still going to bed feeling like I've wasted my day or parts of it because I wasn't, even without having to do half of the things I normally do. I still felt like I had things to do. It was weird. And you know what? I think the only thing I've learned was that it's not really worked. Of course, I don't want to say that taking a rest and taking a break is bad because it's not. I do feel a little bit more rejuvenated. I do feel more refreshed. I have been dreading opening Minecraft. So the slow progress I've made here, well, it's nowhere near where I want to be, but I think I need to be okay with that for now. I was like, it's a baby squid. Oh my god, it's so tiny. I think I need to be okay with it. Okay, we're slowly kind of tapering down, but I think I'm going to raise the hill back up here for the cliffs here on the side. I don't have a point or anything I'm trying to make, but I've always been a kind of person that really likes quotes and analogies, and I like to think of life in specific ways. I always think of life as it being sort of ebb and flow. You have your on and your off times, the same way the seasons cycle, life cycles as well. And that sort of mindset has always helped me kind of keep it together when things get bad. You're like, yep, it's the ebb and flow of life. Same goes for motivation and ideas, and relationships, and everything in life is a bit ebb and flow. But recently, I've also been feeling that time is kind of like a river. Just bear with me because I'm doing a lot of water analogies here, but I've been really feeling like I've just been fighting the sort of I've just been fighting the coursing river of life. The time just goes by and the currents are getting stronger and stronger as I get older. And it feels like we're going past all the scenery so much quicker. Does anybody else feel that way? Are we all just getting old? Because I know time does speed up as you're getting older, but I have been feeling, I guess, the effects of the speed up a lot more lately of just like, oh, you know, I think when I was younger, it used to be the days are slow, but the weeks are fast. Does that make sense? Or maybe it was the days are slow and the weeks are slow, but now everything's fast. The days are fast and the weeks are fast and the months are fast and the year is fast and everything slips by and you look back and you're like, what did I actually accomplish and achieve? And I think that fear of being left behind had pushed me over, like, I guess, limits. This is Lucy does therapy by talking to the camera. Not to make light of the situation, but yes, humor is my coping mechanism sometimes. I want to be okay with letting it be for now. So we're going to let this episode be for now. I really want, if you guys don't mind, a little bit of input of which sort of style do you like of these glyphs? Do you like it more detailed with the slabs and the stairs and the fences? Do you think the puzzle is kind of smart and you like that? Do you think we should just not do any of it and just keep it very simple and blocky? Kind of like this side's a little bit more blocky with the same blocks over and over rather than just block vomit everywhere. I don't know. Or do you think this is just a downgrade from what we had originally? Because I will totally accept that. I'm not afraid to tear things down. So if everybody hates it, that's okay because I don't feel strongly about loving this yet. I do want to put some trees and stuff up, and then once we have like the little plant life everywhere, I do think that's going to look better. But we're going to leave it be. We're going to be okay. I'm going to just upload to get back into the swing of things. I'm scared if I don't do this, I'm going to want to open Minecraft less and less and less. And I'll be, I guess, in the ebb and flow of not wanting to do anything for a little bit too long. Because I have missed it. I've missed speaking to you guys. It's only been a week or two. I'm so silly. I think anyone that creates stuff, they create stuff that they really love and are passionate about, they put a bit of their soul into it. They put a bit of themselves into it. And maybe I've been putting too much of myself into things and I ran a bit dry. So I do want to ask you guys to, think about yourselves. How have you been? Do you need a break like I needed a break? Maybe I still need a break. I'm sorry this episode's a bit lower quality than normal. I'll be upfront with you. I don't have the motivation to go through and do all my normal editing, which I know is bare bones as it is, but like music and getting rid of some background noise and keyboard cuts and stuff, it's bare bones. Let's maybe take it easy together if you need it. The sun is finally starting to come back here in the UK, so I think I'm going to put aside some of that time to just go for a really nice long walk with my dogs. Yep, by the beach. A long walk by the beach. That's my plan for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I'd love your honest feedback about the build and about the video as well. It's been a weird word for me. It's a weird state of mind I'm in, but I love it nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye for now. Ta-ta!